For now, though, we're used to seeing protest groups targeting some high-profile sporting events. It's a trend that is set to continue throughout a busy summer of sport. A protester managed to get onto the racecourse at yesterday's Epsom Derby. There were 31 arrests in total, while the Premiership Rugby final, some Premier League football matches, even the World Snooker Championship have been disrupted. So we've got the Ashes Test Series in cricket, as well as tennis at Wimbledon and the British Grand Prix taking place over the next couple of months. Perhaps more opportunities for protest groups to strike. Let's get the thoughts of Chloe Naldrett from Just Stop Oil, who joins us on the programme. Thank you for your time today. So, are you planning to continue your protests?
Well, thank you so much for having me on, Nick. Yesterday's protest at the Derby was carried out by our friends at Animal Rebellion. So the only comment I can make on that is to express my solidarity with them. And I think what I can tell you about this summer is that it's likely to be the hottest summer that we've ever experienced. That means we'll see crop failures driving up food prices. It means we'll see water shortages. It means we'll see droughts and floods and wildfires, and a further amplification of the unstable weather that we've been seeing increasingly over recent years. And the only real question we have to ask is, are we going to let this get worse before we take real, meaningful action to prevent that and to give our children some hope for their futures? The very clear demand that Just Stop Oil are making is that we need to end new oil and gas licences. We need to stop the harm. And
this isn't going any way to doing that, is it? Throwing orange powder at these sporting events, pretty reckless and irresponsible, many will say.
Well, I think under normal circumstances, we would all agree that these would be unacceptable protests, Nick, but we're not in normal circumstances. We're maybe 3 or 4 years away from seeing tipping points reached beyond which we have no control over what's going to happen to the climate. And, I, as a parent, simply cannot stand by and let that happen. That's the future of my children is too important to me.
Is public sympathy waning for the way you go about these, though? I'm thinking of the World Snooker Championship. Very visual. We can see what happened there. And I know the Chelsea Flower Show was disrupted, but the public's going to turn on you. Somebody got a hose out, didn't they, there, and started spraying your protesters?
Yeah, what you didn't see in that footage is the members of the public after that woman with the hose who were expressing support, who started applauding the people who were taking that action. And I think what's been really interesting over the last week is that we've seen some really high-profile names come out in support of the demand that we're making to end new oil and gas. Gary Lineker, Arnold Schwarzenegger, the Pope. We've seen Dale Vince, and I just have to commend the brilliant report on renewable energy by your young reporters that was shown just before this. What we need to do is so straightforward that even children can understand it. But we're seeing the support coming from all these directions, all these people with public profile. And we've seen
it does backfire, doesn't it? I mean, the sustainable garden was targeted at Chelsea.
Well, that garden was actually a brilliant and egregious example of greenwash, Nick, because it was billed as a sustainable garden, but it was actually funded by one of the worst banks for fossil fuel funding in Canada. Canada, a country where we're seeing wildfires rip across their territories right now. So, we really need to think about what it is that we're being shown and the truth behind actions like that. That really wasn't a sustainable garden.
Are you going to be disrupting a summer of these sporting events, cricket, Wimbledon, for instance, the Grand Prix?
Well, I can't tell you anything because I simply don't know myself at the moment. But I will say that ordinary people and those of us who support Just Stop Oil are simply ordinary people. We're not the enemies of other ordinary people. We're your neighbours. We're GPs and social workers and teachers and plumbers and electricians and vicars. So we will continue to take the action that is non-violently necessary to bring an end to the era of oil and gas. And
all right, we'll have to leave it there. I'm sorry, time is against us, but I appreciate you coming on the programme. It's good to see you. Thank you very much indeed, Chloe Naldrett.